Coming up, we have Jerry Tinianow. Yes. He's going to be talking about scale, and he is from the, I lost it. He's the sustainability director down in Denver for, he's Denver's chief sustainability officer, and he's going to talk.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jerry Tinianow. I'm Denver's Chief Sustainability Officer. It's a great privilege and an honor to be here speaking to AREDAY. It's been 33 years since my first trip to Snowmass back in 1983 when I was a young attorney and chairman of the Sierra Club's Northeast Ohio group, and I came here for the Sierra Club's first international assembly, held just up the hill. It was very memorable for you old-timers and was capped off by a private concert that we Sierra Clubbers got in a tent with John Denver. It was really a magical moment, and I've been pleased to come back here many times. So I'm going to talk about scale and everybody plays. We're going to start local, but we'll end up global. Here's my communication information. I'll put it on again at the end just so you know. You don't need to write it down now, but it will be back up there at the end. I work for the man on the left here, Mayor Michael B. Hancock, so I'm a city sustainability director. I am not a thought leader. I'm a mechanic. And you know what mechanic is? Mechanic is someone who has a set of tools and they have some problems and they go out and use the tools to fix the problem. So that's what we do in our Office of Sustainability. We're sustainability mechanics. By the way, next to the mayor is our former governor, Bill Ritter, who's going to be speaking this afternoon. And next to him is our current governor, John Hickenlooper. Denver today is in a really good place. These are some statistics. We're at the top of the charts in a lot of important rankings. I like the last two because according to these folks, we're the best place to live in the United States and the best place to do business. And that's a great accomplishment. You know, Denver is despite the name of the football team, we're not a cowboy town, we're a mining town. We're built on extractive industries. And our whole history is boom and bust. We're in the boom time now, but sustainability is key because the bust inevitably follows, and we need to be sensitive to that. So your first question is, how do we define sustainability in Denver? And we're not having a technical problem here. We don't define it by choice. And the reason for that is because I came up through grassroots environmentalism, and I've spent many hours around a coffee table in someone's living room debating which is the more noble of all possible courses. And so we were concerned that if we got stuck in the definitional exercise, we wouldn't get action going. And the mayor wanted action going right away. So while we don't define sustainability, we do explain why we pursue it. And it's to ensure that the basic resources upon which our economy and our quality of life depend are available and affordable to everyone, both now and in the future. Basic resources, those are the needs, not the wants, the foundation of economy and quality of life. We want to make them available and affordable. Those are not the same thing. Some things are available but not necessarily affordable, and we want to make them available and affordable to everyone. We don't use the term environmental equity or justice or anything. We just use the simple concept to everyone, both now and in the future. So we want to pursue intergenerational equity. When I came on board, the mayor gave me a simple four-word agenda: scale and everybody plays. And by scale, he means he wants a program that produces big numbers, that makes changes that matter. And by everybody plays, he meant he wants a program where every office in our city government, no matter what it produces, uses sustainability as its core business value. And I can tell you that that task, that little four-word agenda, is tough. There was no template. We weren't able to find another city that was explicitly doing it. And I think it's tough for a few reasons. We refer to the four horsemen of sustainability, the great enemies of sustainability, but in just about any institution you've been involved with, you probably know these four, so let me list them for you. First, we've always done it that way. Second, we've never done that before. Third, we tried that once and it didn't work. And fourth, often my favorite, that's a great idea, but you're too late. So these are the four horsemen. We run into them over and over again as we try to go to scale and as we try to get everyone to play. But I think there's some other problems that we run into as well. There's misunderstanding of sustainability. Some people think it's just environmental protection. Some people think it's a kind of a social equation. Some people just use it as a form of argument. You know, I'll say, here's my proposal, and you'll say that's not sustainable. What you really mean is I don't like it. So there's never a shared understanding to begin with. But beyond that, you know, in the bureaucracy, there's a lot of people who are invested in the status quo. They've been doing things a certain way over the years, and it's hard to change. Some of those people have stepped out, and they've tried to put bold new ideas out there, and they've been slapped down. And it's easier to just kind of hide back in the weeds. Of course, we're a city government, so we have resource constraints. There's never enough money. There are never enough people. And in Colorado, that's exacerbated by something called the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, which really makes it difficult for us to raise new revenues. And then finally, and kind of ironically enough, when things are going great like they are in Denver right now, it's hard to persuade the public to make the sacrifices and to do the innovations that are necessary because things are going so well. And the irony always is that when things turn around and we're in the recession, then of course we can't do it at all because we're in a recession. So now is the time, and we recognize that. So let me talk a little bit about scale. We've organized our sustainability efforts around these 12 basic resource groups. And I won't list them all for you here, but just mention that some of them are what you'd expect: clean water, energy, mobility. And some of them are less conventional. For example, we treat health as a resource, not just an outcome, but actually as a resource, because you can't have a really good quality of life or economy if people are sick all the time. We say workforce. The workforce is actually one of the resources, just like energy, that we pay attention to. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples of our goals to show you what we mean by scale. This is our energy goal, and we're trying to hold total energy consumed in Denver to its 2012 level by 2020 and to decarbonize it by 50%. Now that is a big number. That's probably our most ambitious goal. But we always remind people there's no technical reason why we can't achieve it. There are only political reasons. Similarly, on our mobility goal, and I'm looking just at the community goal, we'd like to reduce our single occupancy vehicle travel from 70% in commuting time right now to 60%. That's a 10% or 10 percentage point mode shift. Again, very ambitious, but it would make a difference. It is at scale, and because we express everything in numbers, it's easy to track our progress. How do we do it? Well, a couple of representative programs. The mayor, in order to address our health goal, which is to improve childhood healthy weight from 69% to 74%, he created the My Denver card, which makes our recreation centers, all of them, free to every child in Denver. Before we entered into this program, we had attendance by children in the hundreds at our rec centers. Now it's in the thousands. So those are the kinds of numbers that we have to move when we're trying to act at scale. Another example, you know, we do not do well in solid waste. It's probably our Achilles heel, our weakest point. Our diversion rate is well below the national average. So we're replacing all of our dumpsters, all of them, with bins that then allow us to greatly increase the amount of diversion that we get from solid waste. Because when there's a dumpster there that everyone can use, no matter what neighborhood they live in, you're just not going to have a lot of recycling. So we're going to make a change at scale. A great example recently of a project at scale I'm particularly proud of, especially because Amory Lovins is speaking this afternoon, is our partnership with the Rocky Mountain Institute on their mobility initiative. They approached us recently and said they want to change the current paradigm of just-in-case mobility to just-in-time mobility. And so we have three basic elements. We want to make mobility a service. We want to have a lot of electronic vehicles, eventually autonomous, and then we have to change our urban planning model to accommodate that. They've created a relationship where we're partnering with Austin to do this. Austin will be the lead implementation city, and we will be the global engagement platform. And lo and behold, right after we entered into this arrangement, the U.S. Department of Transportation announced a big new grant of $50 million. 78 cities applied, 7 cities were finalists, including, interestingly enough, us in Austin. And just this week, the winner was named, and it was not Denver. It was Columbus. However, we put a pot of, for this plan, we put $36 million together. We followed our outline from our three-way initiative, and we're going to go forward with this at scale regardless of whether we get the federal money or not. In terms of everyone plays, a few keys there. We need to get workers out of their silos. And we also need to do a few other things. We can't just dump this on them. We really have to teach them sustainability theory and practice, and that's what my office does. We need to cultivate allies in the agencies. They are out there. I remember my first year, someone in General Services, which runs our business and procurement, one of our meetings, he says, when do we start the revolution? So it's our job to find those people. They are out there in the agencies, and we need to reward them and cultivate them. We need to train people to look at the entire fraction, to do math. You've probably heard this before. There's a pilot project we did, and it was the equivalent of taking 256 cars off the road. So how many cars are on the road? Too often, we avoid accountability by ignoring the denominator. And so we preach looking at both parts of the fraction as we plan and implement. We want to avoid paralysis by analysis, overthinking things when nothing gets done. And finally, language matters. You know, for example, we're trying to obliterate the term parking problem. There's no such thing as a parking problem. There are only mobility problems. If the question you ask is, where will we put all the cars? The answer is a parking lot. But if the question is, why do people in this neighborhood think they have to have a car to get around? Then you come to a different solution. So we pay a lot of attention to our language. And it's paying dividends because we recently attracted Panasonic to relocate the headquarters of their sustainability business, Panasonic Enterprise Solutions, from Newark to Denver, bringing hundreds of jobs with it, and the creation of a new smart city on the south side of town, out by the airport. This is going to be a smart grid, hopefully net zero neighborhood, again, change at scale. So here's my contact information, and I want to end with this point on scale. No matter how many great projects we do in Denver or any other city, those projects by themselves will not solve our problems. We could shut down every smokestack in Denver, every tailpipe. We could even all stop exhaling, and it wouldn't make a difference to climate change because we're just not big enough. The only way city, urban sustainability at scale really happens is if cities are working with each other. And that's exactly what we do through the Urban Sustainability Directors Network, through the Compact of Mayors, through ICLEI. That's the way we're going to solve sustainability at scale on a global level. And it looks like we're out of time, but I will be here the rest of the day. I would love to hear your thoughts of how we're doing things in Denver. And I appreciate, again, your inviting me to this event. Thank you very much.